2 team in the country, Cooper Flagg, Duke Blue Devils, go into Clemson, South Carolina, and take their third loss of the season, 77-71. Cooper Flagg didn't look like himself. He looked like a guy that had been dealing with a virus or dealing with some kind of bug or whatever's been going through. At least he didn't throw up on the floor like Kaman Malawach did a couple of weeks ago, but it was not a vintage Cooper Flagg performance until the last 5 minutes. He almost willed him back to a win. Before you say anything on Duke, I just got to say this. With 52 seconds left, Cooper Flagg had just reeled off like 8 straight points, bangs home a 3. Duke's up 71-70. The crowd is completely silenced, and Dickie V, who was back in the broadcast booth for the first time in 2 years, hits us with the quintessential, "Are you serious?" And it was just so great to hear Dickie V give us an "Are you serious?" back in the booth, man. It was good to have him back in the world of college basketball. Goodman, Duke lost. What do you make of it?
I mean, for the first 34 minutes, you and I have seen Cooper Flagg play how many times, you think, over the course of AAU and I've seen him play twice this year in person, maybe 3 times in person, I'm sorry. And probably saw him play, 25 times in AAU ball in person.
Hey, Mike, how many times tonight do you think Goodman's going to tell us that he saw a kid play in person? We've heard he saw Walter Clayton. We've heard about how he saw the Florida big guys at a hotel.
Over-unders at 4.5.
Anyway, all I'll say is that didn't look like Cooper Flagg. That did not look like him for the first 34 minutes that I watched him. That looked nothing like Cooper Flagg. And for the last 6 minutes, he kind of took over the game, right? I mean, I think he scored like 15 points in the final 6 minutes to give him a chance. And then obviously he slipped at the end there. He cramped up. Then he slipped driving to the basket. I thought the possession that kind of baffled me was when Zion James took the ball to the basket, got blocked, when you had 3 shooters standing out there and Cooper Flagg waiting for the ball. I didn't quite understand that one. Proctor was great for the first half. But I'll give you – I'm not going to do it now. I'm going to give you my biggest winner out of this game when you guys are done. But I'm not worried. Like, this doesn't do anything for me with Duke because, again, Cooper, after the game, said he hasn't been feeling great. Mason Gillis didn't play because he was sick. Cooper said it's not an excuse, but he's been dealing with some sort of illness like a lot of those Duke players have. So, again, I'm not concerned at all with this loss. It was a great win for Clemson. That's what it was.
Yep. Mike?
Yeah, I mean, look, illnesses aside, this was – I mean, Clemson is now, I think I saw it, it's their 5th straight win against a top 5 opponent. Mm-hmm. And I think it speaks to their experience. And if there's a common theme this year with Duke, it's, the 3 losses that they have. Kansas is the oldest team in college basketball. Kentucky's 4th, and Clemson is 9th in terms of experience. So that has been a theme. And what Clemson did tonight with Duke was say, we're just going to try to out-physical you. And every time Cooper Flagg comes off a little brush screen or rub screen up to the top of the key, like, we're going to give him a little chicken wing, a little elbow in the ribs. We're going to be physical with you. When he's on defense, Shefflin, we're trying to get deep post position. We're trying to post you. I mean, this is like, it was all game for him. And he came out of it towards the end because I think he kind of had to, because at one point in that game, I was looking around like, is he getting gun shy again? Almost like he was a little bit earlier in the year. There was one play with about 7 minutes left where the ball got swung to him at the top of the key, and the Cooper Flagg we've seen over the past 2 months would have just catch it, no hesitation, and rose up with it. And he hesitated, and then he kind of threw it back to Tyrese Proctor, and I went, oh boy. And then he obviously breaks out of it and almost gives him a chance there. But it was almost a full circle moment too when it's 73-71. And you think back to the Kansas game and you think back to the Kentucky game, and it's like the same exact situation where it's him in the middle third of the floor, and you just think, well, this time it's got to work out for him, right? And then he ends up, on his back slipping. So I give a lot of credit to Clemson. I think they spread out Duke defensively. Like, you could sit there and be like, Duke had, the least amount of resistance I've seen from them defensively this year. They were probably as off kilter as they've been offensively all year. Like, we could sit there and say that, but Clemson had a lot to do with that. and their experience. And I think if you circled any game on the ACC schedule for them, it was this one. It was like, how are they going to do Little John Coliseum, Clemson? That's the one, because the rest of it at this point, I'm talking just ACC, because you got Illinois, Madison Square Garden, but outside of that, this was the one I think they needed to get if they were going to run the table, and they didn't. And I think you got to give Clemson a lot of credit. Tyrese Proctor was fantastic tonight, keeping them in this game, giving Cooper Flagg a chance to almost have that moment late with what he did in the first half. And then the big shot that he hit to make it, I think, 62-61 when they were mounting that comeback. And the last part I'll mention, too, about Clemson is, man, there were a few moments there where I thought, man, you're going to have to cut the head off Duke to try to win this. Like, I don't know, if you keep it at one possession, I'm not sure if you're winning this game, because you had Locken get the slip when it was 56-49, and he misses the dunk. Evans comes down, hits the three to make it 56-52. Then Locken misses the front end of a 1-and-1. Then Shefflin misses 2 free throws, and you're like, man, that felt like a bunch of scenarios where you look back at the end of a game and go, man, if only that happened, and they still end up pulling it out. So this is a massive win for Clemson, and I think it's proven that they're for real as well in a league that is very, very short on bids right now.
Yep. Illnesses, the flu, those are things that every college basketball team has to deal with. To me, it's not an excuse for losing. All the credit in the world goes to Clemson for coming back. They were down early and came back to win this game. Chase Hunter had a big go-ahead layup, hit 2 free throws, and had a huge block down the stretch that kind of helped them win. So this was a Clemson win more than it was a Duke loss to me, and it just goes to show you how tough it is to win on the road in league play, even if the league is not necessarily the SEC. Let me